Hello everyone, and welcome to this week's Thought for the Week here on YouTube or Facebook or wherever you're watching it. My name's Tom, I'm the Assistant Minister at St Thomas Baptist Church. And as our country goes back to work and things start to look a lot more normal for us as a nation, I've noticed a real trend in the conversation that I've been having with a lot of people. A lot of the people at the moment are telling me that they're feeling pretty tired, which makes a lot of sense because after a few months of furlough for quite a lot of people, they're starting to go back to work and are working much longer hours. And this really got me thinking about rest. Is it God's design for us as human beings to work non-stop until we're exhausted? What does it look like to work and rest in a God-glorifying way in this culture that we live in? Well, we know from Colossians 3 that God wants us as Christians to work with all our hearts at whatever job or role we perform, working as if for the Lord, not for human reasons, we read in Colossians 3. And we know from Romans 12:11 that God wants a hard-working, enthusiastic worker. We read this, it says, never be lazy, but work hard and serve the Lord enthusiastically. This is what God has to say about work. Work hard for him. But what does God say about rest? And I think we need to pay particular attention to what rest is at this moment in time. Is God agreeing with our culture? Is he telling us that we need to work ourselves to the bone until we're burnt out? Well, no, I want to suggest that's not the case. I want to suggest that the Bible also shows us that while hard work is commended, it is actually in the very fabric of our being as human beings that we should take at least one day of our busy weeks and make that day a special day of active resting. And this day is called the Sabbath day. See, in Genesis 1 and 2, at the beginning of the Bible, God created the world in 6 days. But on the seventh day, as we read in Genesis 2, he rested. This is what it says. God had finished the work he'd been doing. So on the seventh day, he rested from all his work. Then God blessed the seventh day, made it holy, because on it he rested from the work of creating he had done. Now, the thing is, God doesn't need rest. He chooses to rest. God chooses to stop, to look at the work he'd done, to declare it was good, and then to rest. God is God. He doesn't need to rest at all. But as human beings, we need to rest, and we are invited by God to do the same thing in Exodus 20. In the Ten Commandments, they say, remember to observe the Sabbath day by keeping it holy. You have 6 days each week for your ordinary work. But the seventh day is a Sabbath day of rest dedicated to the Lord your God. You see, from these two passages, what we see is that in the same way God took a step back and appreciated his work to rest from it, we as human beings need to do the same. As human beings, we need to take a step back, appreciate the work we've done once a week, so we can rest physically because as human beings we need to, but better still, so we can rest spiritually. And as Christians, we spiritually rest by sitting back and simply appreciating God's work. We appreciate the fact that God has paid the penalty for our sin through the death of Jesus, and that sin and death has been defeated once and for all through Jesus' resurrection. And when we do that, whilst we hang out with family or friends, while we go on walks, while we were given the most wonderful rest that we will ever be given, that this world could ever offer, rest for our weary souls, just like David writes in Psalm 62, verse 1. He says, truly, my soul finds rest in God, for my salvation comes from him. You see, your Sabbath day could look like anything, but let me tell you, it won't be a truly restful day unless it includes you spending your time positioning yourself under God's truth, under God's work, appreciating the work of Jesus and his death and resurrection. You need to be like a tree that turns itself towards the sun, that source of life, that source of light that enables it to grow. So let me ask you a question to finish this Thursday for this thought for the week. Do you take a Sabbath day? Do you have a day where you not only kick your feet back, but you also mull on and savour the person of Jesus and the work of Jesus? God invites us to do that. He invites us to stop, to look at the work we've done in a week, but then to also look at the work he's done and be amazed by it, because that is what nourishes our souls. We were created to Sabbath as human beings. It's a gift from God. It's not a curse as we so often treat it. So please, can I encourage you, go and enjoy your Sabbath day this week.